Welcome to Drew J's Talk. I'm your co-host, Andrew, along with my other co-host, Drew. Enjoy Drew J's Talk today. Put your feet up. Be mindful and relax. Focus on good things like health, wellness, in a baseball season full of excitement and joy. Welcome to Drew J's Talk.
I think we should open like that all the time,
man. Welcome, Drew. It is good to see you. How are you today?
I'm pretty amazing, my friend. Coming to you live from DC today, so I'm pretty psyched. National territory.
You're in the Washington National. You're in the backyard of the Baltimore Orioles, the Bird Bath.
Indeed.
What brings you to Washington on this fine Friday, April 19th?
A pretty amazing woman brings me to DC, which is where I spend half of my time. So we get to do a lot of fun stuff. We just got tickets to the Capitals Rangers series. So I'm going to be sitting second row right behind the penalty box for 2 NHL playoff games. And even though neither team is really one of mine, you can't beat that energy, man. So I'm pretty psyched.
And so just like our Toronto Blue Jays, you're on the road today.
I am on the road today. The Jays, you know what? The Jays, since we last talked, buddy, 4-2, playing .666 baseball. Had a couple of painful losses, one to kick off since we last talked, and one right before we were talking this time. But 4-2, that's not that any of this matters, anyone. 4th place in the American League East, 3 games back of the New York Yankees, a half a game out of the wild card. But it's April, so who cares?
And I'll tell you, I care. I care that we just had a good week of baseball, and our loyal listeners, maybe our loyal listener, should know that you and I we saw a game together this week.
Our first time ever getting the chance to do that. Our guest, there's a connection to our guest today. We've got a special guest coming on. But yeah, my friend, we went to not the most exciting baseball game in the history of the Toronto Blue Jays, but we did go to a win. So we went to the, the 3-1 victory over the Yankees on Monday night. Chris Bassett's excellent performance.
It was a lovely evening, and I think you and I both got last-minute tickets. I got last-minute tickets from our not sponsoring us, but SeatGeek. I've been telling lots of people about SeatGeek. They're not sponsoring us yet, but I'll take their money, like SeatGeek, if you want to call us, because I've certainly given them a lot of money. SeatGeek is a great place to get some last-minute tickets, and we both sat in the TD Comfort Lounge.
Food brought directly to the seats.
It was quite comfortable, Drew.
It really was a great night. The Jays pulled it out. Not a whole lot of big hits, but you know what? We got to walk home. I think there was a wild pitch home too. So you know what? The Jays are 10-9 on the season, and they're starting to hit a little bit. They're just not hitting when they're supposed to, which sounds like a familiar refrain to last year. But baseball regresses to the mean, man. And I really do believe that it's just impossible over the course of 2 full seasons or a season and a half for statistics, to weighted expected batting average, like what we, given the velocity off the bat and where they're hitting it, they're supposed to be 25, 30 points better. And so right. I just take solace in that. I know that last year I kept saying that and it never came around. I just don't see how statistically a full, more than one season can continue on that road. I really don't.
Well, I'll tell you, just going back to the game that we saw, the 3-1 victory, Chris Bassett was exciting. They call him the Hound Dog. I'll tell you what my favorite thing about that game was, even though it was a low scoring game. I tend to be a pitcher heavy. I'm a pitching guy more than hitting. I love both parts of baseball. But pitching for me is the beauty and the science and the math and the wizardry of baseball. The fact that you can hold a ball like this or like this and changes how. Oh, that's funny. I don't know why there's a balloon.
I don't know why it keeps. I think if you do this too, like a thumbs up shows up on your screen.
Oh, you got a thumbs up.
Yeah. So
you change your hand grip from this to this, and then the ball goes here instead of here. That to me is one of the joys of baseball. And man, I fully love a Jays broadcast. I watch them on Sportsnet and everything. But where you and I were both sitting, seeing Chris Bassett's curveball just flutter around. you could appreciate, because you watch on TV, and yeah, the mound's not changing, the camera's not changing, so those two things are locked, and the pitcher's arm movement, his slot is pretty much the same, and the catcher's right there, so there's not a lot of movement, and so yeah, you do see the little dip, but it's funny when you watch Pitching Ninja on Instagram, and they overlay the pitches. That's when you really see the movement. But this was the first time in a ball game that I fully appreciated movement on a pitch. It was something cool to watch.
Yeah, it's like when we used to go and watch Marco. Like I used to go and watch Marco Estrada pitch when I had season tickets. It was the same thing. You don't fully appreciate how good a changeup off-speed pitcher is until you get to see them live. And before we go on, man, and bring on our guest, I did want to say one thing. It's not Jay specific. It's just you were talking about loving baseball. And what I love when you watch that curveball is that the human ability to throw a pitch that breaks, it breaks at 60 feet, 6 inches. The human ability, like if you throw the fastest baseball, the fastest ball that a human being can throw to a catcher, and you send a guy from first to second base, it is always going to be within inches. And like a ground ball to short, it's half a step. How did this game become so perfect in that the fastest you can do something as a human, there is a counter side to it, which is the other team is just able to have enough time to do it. They've made this game where everything is a minute half second, and somehow they found the perfect dimensions, and I don't know how they did it. Sorry, I just wanted to rave about baseball's dimensions and how everything is perfect.
Well, listen, so speaking of dimensions, I want to introduce our guest who's going to bring another dimension to our show, Drew.
Nice work there.
Nice segue. If you've seen the show Only Murders in the Building, it's a couple old dudes and a young kid, and that's what this show is turning into today. It's only Charlie's in the building. So let's welcome our guest, Charlie Cummins. Charlie, just before we started the show, you said you're bringing something, and it was a word that Drew and I have no idea what you meant. Well, can you tell us what?
Oh, yeah, I've got the drip.
What's the drip?
I got the chain. I have the I don't even know what to call it. Drip would be like a chain or like a gold bracelet or something, or like a nice watch.
Okay.
I don't know.
Drew, do you know what that is?
Yeah, it's like rizz apparently. Like if you got enough drip, you got rizz.
You had to Google it, didn't you? You had to Google
it.
Drew,
I'm aware of what rizz is. Drip was new to me, I think, but like I heard one of my favorite comedies. Sorry, what's that, man?
It'd also be known as like ice. Like I got ice.
You got ice.
Your ice is dripping. I don't know.
Look, I gotta be honest, man. The stuff that we said was just a stupid, big guy like Andrew. Like it's the bomb.
Yeah,
that stuff is rad. I'm not sure. Did fetch ever happen? I'm not really sure if fetch ever happened.
They tried. They tried and they failed.
They tried.
Drew, we have a mutual friend, and this is his son, and this is the next generation of Drew J's talkers.
And I gotta say, man, I love the drip.
His name's not Drew.
I do love the drip. I really do. I think it looks absolutely money. I like that you decided to go with the baby blue against the gold and matched it with the hat. Yep. Not only did you bring the drip, but you coordinated. And that to me says that you are a man to be reckoned with in the future.
Yeah, I didn't wear the floppy hat. That's usually like floppy hat, reflective sunglasses, chain, and jersey. That's usually the go-to game outfit.
Yeah, so everything that I make fun of in young people. All right, I like it. Yeah. I like it. That's it. Exactly. But you're going to the game, you're having a good time.
Yeah.
Charlie, how many games have you been to this season so far?
I've been to one. I went to the first Looney Dogs night, so the second home game.
And you were texting me, and I was approving of this text. Drew, just before Charlie gives us the answer, and Charlie, remind our audience how old you are, sir.
I'm 17.
17, okay. Drew, how many hot dogs, if you were to place a wager, how many hot dogs do you think that Charlie put back second home game of the season this year?
Okay, first of all, I think Looney Dogs night makes you take it to another level. I think it makes you push beyond what you usually do. So I'm going to guess at 17 years of age that Charlie put away 7 hot dogs, and he now don't forget, look at me. So I think Charlie put away 7 hot dogs, and I think because he's 17, he lost 2 pounds.
Yeah. So, So I did the 9 hot dogs in 9 innings
You're
challenge. So I had 9, and I actually lost 5 pounds, not 2.
you lost 5 pounds eating 9 hot dogs.
I would assume, yeah. Just
Yeah, yeah.
Charlie's a competitive athlete. He does hockey, he does running, and Drew, you and I both do that too. Obviously, we watch those things on TV.
I definitely watch them.
But Charlie, I know I've known you since you were just a young pup, but I want to ask you, what do you love about baseball? What's your thing? I talked about pitching a minute ago, but what's the number one thing you love about baseball?
Well, I've grown up watching and playing hockey mostly, and I really only got into baseball in the 2022 season. So when I was in grade 9, and it's so different from a lot of the other sports like soccer, like hockey, like American football. Like
In that it's better, right? Like
yeah,
you've noticed
yeah.
it's like
Like
a
I
little
think
bit more advanced.
probably my favorite sport to watch.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, and it's there's more happening than meets the eye. Like in hockey, it's you're moving really fast. There's It's really entertaining. It's easy to stay focused on the game because there's so much happening on the surface. But in baseball, it's just like he throws a pitch. It's either a ball or a strike. Maybe he'll hit it. Like that's the service. But you need to look at the location of the pitch, the speed of the pitch, the break of the pitch, the ability of the hitter to hit the ball, how fast the hitter is to get to first base. Like there's so many other variables that you just don't see.
You
And
don't necessarily appreciate on your first game. Like you don't
yeah,
pick that up right away.
exactly.
And you're an analytical guy, so like I consider you to be a pretty intelligent guy. You're taking in baseball and you're absorbing all the different things so much so that you're texting me saying, "Oh, like did you notice that?" Like how did you like fall in love with baseball? Like I think that's something I'm interested in.
So I'm gonna say the first game I went to in person since COVID was I think it was the Jackie Robinson night in 2022. Yeah, I got the T-shirt. So that was just really fun. I went with my friends. It was just like a fun time. And then I wanted to keep getting the free stuff. So like I got I got the Barrios jersey. And I got the Bichette bobblehead, and then I started actually following it. Like I'd be following the team's progress. I'd be following I'd be watching on TV. And when I started like actually paying attention to it, it was just I don't know. It's like a movie sort of playing out in front of me. And now I go to games with my friends, and I just like score the game on the score sheet, and like I scored the final out in the top of the ninth this year before like getting up and like cheering for the win.
I love it.
Yeah,
There's something, and Drew, you've scored games.
Yeah, I used to do it all the time. I used to be the only one of my friends who had any idea how to do it. So that's why I was smiling when you said it, man. I haven't known anybody who does get the book open and score sheet since I used to do it years ago, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
because you get a new appreciation for it when you're paying that minutely attention.
Exactly.
Oh, and it's a whole language. You got to learn
yeah.
language with scorekeeping, right?
I just wish that there was like a per pitch thing as well. I don't know how to score that properly, but I want to know like curveball, bottom left in the zone type of thing.
Yeah.
How to score that.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think they like an original scorekeeper would track pitches as much as they would, swings and misses, of course, and walks. But yeah, no, scorekeeping is a lost art. And it's funny that you said, right? Like I score kept, and then I had to put the book down, and then I had to get up and cheer with the guys, so that my precious program didn't get wrecked.
Yep.
One thing I used to do, I would go to a Jays game by myself. This is 20 years ago, and I'd bring an AM/FM radio with a little earbud, and I would sit in cheap seats out in the bleachers sometimes, and I just listened to the guys calling the game. And to me, there's nothing better. It is nice, of course, to go with friends, but peaceful, quiet, relaxing, and then having the broadcast in your ear really adds a dimension. So what's interesting to me, you're quite a bit younger than Drew and I, Charlie. There's been a bunch of changes in baseball that are pretty much designed. I don't want to say specifically for your generation, but there's things that I think Major League Baseball has done to speed up the game. What are your thoughts on because you're kind of new to baseball? What are your thoughts on those things? Like, do you feel like you and your friends asked for those things or not?
So I started watching they implemented them last year, right?
Pitch
So
count, pitch clock.
I really didn't mind the games, how long they were before. Like I like just sitting and watching the game, just like puts off whatever else I'm thinking about. Like I don't know. I like the length of the games. I think it does help for like people from my generation, like the TikTok generation, like the short form content attention span thing. It helps for the people who don't watch baseball as much and who aren't as dedicated to it. Like they'll go to like a couple games a year. They'll watch a game or two on TV just because it's on. So I think it definitely helps with interest for them. But me personally, I didn't mind how long the games were at all.
Yeah, Drew. Go ahead, Drew.
I was going to ask, man, how about, I mean, just because he brought it up, and I just did Charlie's take on it, I mentioned your take on it too, Andrew. The thing about the pitch clock now is that they're all claiming that the pitcher injuries are a result of the damn pitch clock. Any thoughts from you guys? Because I've got in like giant letters here at the bottom of my notes, not the pitch clock.
Yeah.
So what do you folks think when it comes? Because you know what I think. I don't think it has hardly anything to do with the pitcher injuries. How about you folks?
Charlie, you take your first swing there.
I think it has nothing to do with the pitch clock at all. I think now more and more guys are throwing 100, 101, 102, 103, just that kind of thing, that kind of strain on your arm over a bunch of starts it's just not healthy or sustainable at all. Like when you look into older seasons, I didn't get to watch them, but like let's say Nolan Ryan, like they weren't throwing like 100 not every pitch. They weren't throwing 95 to 100 through their entire start, trying to get swing and miss, trying to get ground balls. They were just, I think it was more off speed and more pop flies and weak contact than looking for swing and miss and strikeouts.
Well, and Nolan Ryan would gas it up every once in a while, but Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, it would be 2, maybe 3 times a game. It wasn't every inning.
Yeah, Charlie hit on this too, like the difference in tracking pitches now. Like, can you imagine if we had all the data for Nolan Ryan and remember Josh Gibson in 1960, whatever year it was, he had a 1 point something ERA, like just something ungodly. But the last year before they lowered the mound. But I think that one of the key things to I think Charlie nailed it. It's that pitching is different now. It really, really is. And I think the spin rate, but to bear this in mind for Nolan, they estimated based on the documentary Fastball, I don't know if you folks have seen this,
right,
that he threw 110 miles an hour. So Nolan Ryan throwing at 85% of his, or 90% of his full out was throwing 100 miles an hour. And so I think that, you look at a guy who threw that many innings pitched per season and that many innings over his career. I think we have to remind it, like I think Charlie hit it. I don't think Nolan was throwing all out every pitch. And I think that he was still throwing 100 miles an hour. Yeah. And I think that back in the day, I don't think some of the biggest pitchers in baseball, I don't think Walter Johnson and I don't think Nolan Ryan and J.R. Richard were trying to throw all out with every pitch and put full spin on every pitch. I think there are people who are born in this world every now and then who can throw that hard and they don't have to go all out to do it. Otherwise, though, I think most pitchers were just throwing slower. And not because they couldn't throw faster. They just didn't.
For every, Randy Johnson, there was Greg Maddux, right? And Greg Maddux was famously soft tossing. Like I think Greg Maddox's fastball was 91 or 92, wasn't it? Like, believe
it or not, man, go check it out. There's a video online about that. Greg Maddux averaged like 93 or 94 on his fastball, apparently.
Okay.
Like Greg Maddux had a good, because I was exactly what you just said there. I'd always believed that he was a soft tosser guy, but apparently that's sort of one of those things that became a prophecy but what he did is he painted with it wherever he put it.
Well, and you nailed it a minute ago where you said, the analytics and the data that we have today are just insane compared to what was available. Back then it was, did he throw the ball or did he not throw the ball? Right? And now we know every single launch vector angle, blah 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 blah.
Charlie,
I got another thing.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
The league's also cracking down on sticky stuff way more than before. So they have to grip the ball harder and use more of their arm strength to throw like the right kind of, I don't know how to say it, to get the right spin rate on it without the sticky stuff.
That's actually something I'm gonna give Charlie a big old two thumbs up on.
No,
I made that up. That's a good point. Yeah,
I heard a pitcher say that. I heard they asked Verlander, I think was one of them, but I think it was another pitcher who had been complaining about how slick the balls were last year. Remember how at the beginning of every year there seems to be some sort of controversy with equipment? Yeah. One year it's baseballs, and then this year it's
see-through jerseys.
Yeah. So, but no, I think you hit it, man. Like, it's how slick the balls are. That probably has a big part of it too. And that probably plays a bigger role. I think pitchers just hate the pitch clock. And so they're going to do whatever they can to get rid of the pitch clock. And if that means being like, our elbows are blowing out because of it, no, they're not. Like, you have to throw 3-4 seconds faster in between. Nolan Ryan used to throw 300 innings a year. Like, no, it's not.
I'm in the firm belief that nobody should use steroids because I don't like any of it. I don't like that it changes your body, whether it's to literally help you heal faster or to add muscle or bulk. I'm 100% always have been against steroids. I don't mind substances on the fingers, and if it's going to reduce injuries, and frankly, if it's going to stop the umpires from a lovely little interlocking finger checking of every inning, it's like I picture Jeff Goldblum being like very smooth, very nice. That I like, Drew.
I hope I never hear you do that again. I hope never in my life do I have to hear that phrase.
But don't you hate it? Don't you hate it seeing like someone just like they come off the mound, they've just struck out the side, and then you moisturized today?
I look at it this way: if Justin Turner could pour black tar over his jersey on the back, I think the pitcher should be allowed to put a little ticky tack on their fingers, right? But maybe the point is that like hitters have enough trouble hitting that curveball as it is now to let Verlander throw that nastiness. But man, if it means people are healthier, they let them put tack on the bat. They let them put illegal amounts of tack on the bat. Yeah. Like, come on. I think you nailed it, Charlie. I think it's way more likely the balls are too slick.
Well, and Charlie's a statistical vacuum. He learns and absorbs and recites. Sometimes I'll text him and be like, "Hey, find this out for me." And he does it. Charlie, we should assign you a mission, which is to compare starting pitcher injuries. Sorry, my little thing's broken. We should analyze, right? Like the when Garrett Cole. I think wasn't it Josh Donaldson who really started whining about the sticky stuff on the balls? I think it was Josh that was making the most noise.
Josh is less fun when he doesn't play for you, eh?
He's annoying.
Yeah. You did not like him the last couple of years.
Yeah.
He was king of pimping non-home runs, I saw.
Only positive things about the Blue Jays, but I'm not sure where we fall on former Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Like, we're not allowed to slam Tony Fernandez for any reason at any time, but Josh Donaldson, I'm not sure. Or the guy who preceded him, remember him?
Preceded?
Our Canadian. He was going to be
Brett Laurie.
Brett Laurie, yeah.
Yeah. I remember Brett Laurie. Geez, where is he now? Probably like enjoying life in Vancouver. He got some sort of signing bonus and probably doing a lot of snowboarding. So Charlie, thinking about baseball, what's the one thing you tell someone your age, like a classmate, schoolmate, whatever, about baseball who maybe doesn't like it? Like how do you sell baseball to friends of yours?
I mean, I usually try not to get in that argument because like they're used to hockey mostly. But I would say you have to look at more than just what's on the surface. You have to look at every pitch and try to do it for like an inning. Like, look at number of pitches, look at the kind of pitch, and look at even the swing on the batter. Like if it was a bad swing, if he got jammed inside, if he's reaching, if he got the barrel on the ball, and to look at how think about how hard it is for them to make the plays. Like it's one of the hardest things to do in professional sports is to hit a Major League Baseball. Like I don't think people understand that. So yeah.
I've been watching hockey, and Connor McDavid makes it look easy.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
he's a freak of nature.
This sport isn't that hard. You know what? I bet you Connor McDavid's ripping doubles to the power alleys too, right? When you got hands, you got hands.
Charlie, you mentioned last year you went to Jackie Robinson Day, so that was actually the game that Drew and I went to this week. That was that was where the hat came from, which I love, by the way. And you know what? I just gotta give it a tip of the cap. They didn't spoil this hat with a giant ugly sponsor logo, which I actually noticed immediately, and I was very grateful for. I'm not gonna comment on the sponsor logos, but I know which one you're talking about. You know what I'm talking about. I was, you're half expecting one, right? But okay, well, Charlie, what are your predictions? I know you and I have texted about a certain pitcher whose name shall not remain nameless. Oh my!
Yep.
I'm a big Manoah fan, as you know. Both of you know.
You gotta hope he comes back, man. You got the jersey.
Listen, this jersey, I bought this is not a fake one. This is like a authentic. Because
you could probably trade one of the players this year for it. And be like, hey, buddy, you want one of last year's jerseys?
Charlie, what's your prediction for our boys in blue this year? What do you see?
Just as a whole this year?
Yeah. What do you see the year?
I think postseason wild card at least. I'd really like to see us get through the wild card. Of course I want to go all the way. Like that's just a given, right? I'm thinking we'll get through the wild card, and then lose in the first round. That's what I think.
Okay, so he's a realistic fellow. He's practical. He's not living in fantasy land.
I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, so it's kind of like kind of have to be.
So you like to live on championships that you earned many, many years ago. You are a perfect Jays fan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we went to the Cup final 2021, so.
I love how when a team is good, it's we. We do the same thing with the Jays, though, right? Yeah. Like it's we, but nothing when they make a mistake. When Vladdy gets picked off second, that's not we. That is all Vladdy.
Well, no, he was true. He was talking about the Montreal Canadiens, so he was saying oui, monsieur.
I see.
Le Québécois Stanley, la coupe de Stanley.
Man, Charlie, you've only been watching the team for a couple years now.
Yeah.
What players really sort of jump out at you and why were they the ones who very quickly he's here, he's there, he's every effing where, Bichette. Yeah. So what made you love which players do you love and what made you love them?
I love Bichette. Just he's a great hitter. I feel like he's got a lot of confidence, and he hasn't, like, was it last year or the year before, he didn't miss a start, right? Like he played all 162 games. So I feel like he is a really, really, and he led the league in hits, right? Like he's such a huge piece of the team, and he's not necessarily known to be like a 40 home run guy. He's not like the power guy like Vladdy, but he hits doubles. He hits lots of base hits. He's on base a lot. His defense is solid as well. So I think he's a great all-around player for the Jays. I don't know.
Anybody else that's in the last 2 years just made you be like, when he gets up there, you're feeling it?
I am loving Justin Turner right now. Big Red. That's my favorite name for him. He's leading the league in batting average right now at, what is he, 39?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like
he looks like I've always thought that he looks like a Pixar character with the giant hair and the beard. I'm always just like, honest to God, man, when he comes to the plate. I mean, maybe it's because on the Drew Jays Talk Instagram, I did one Pixar themed image. And I'm just like, I've never seen Justin Turner like nailed so much in a random image. So Yeah, it's hard not. I remember when he came in, I looked at the numbers, and he was the best hitter available, much more so than the guys who got more money. It's just a 39-year-old thing, like because we're seeing it. Hopefully, not with Kiermaier, which when you're done at 35, 36, it just happens, and we get, what happened to Manoah. Usually doesn't happen at that age. It usually happens at 35, 36. So less with pitchers, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, I was just like, at 39, is he going to still be that productive? And right now, remembering always that Matt Chapman hit like 360 in April last year, I always try to remember that it really looks as if they got the hitter that the numbers said they got.
Yep.
Chapman was the player of the month, was he not, for the American League in April? Yeah.
Remember we were talking about the team of the Major League Baseball team of the month, which I didn't know existed, but we'll be keeping updates every time this one here, everyone that comes out this year.
Chapman made it was a news. I should look it up, frankly. Speaking of former players, Chapman made an error for the Giants. I really shouldn't have even brought it up because I forgot what happened, but I remember seeing Chapman kind of screwed that up. Not important. Okay, Charlie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I think we'll have to have you back because it's nice to hear from a new Blue Jays fan.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time. Appreciate your willingness to join us.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
And thank you, my friend, for explaining drip to us.
Let me know if you need any other explanations on the.
I appreciate which J player has the most rizz and drip.
Probably Bichette.
Is it Bichette? He's got the flow, though, right?
He's got the flow, and yeah.
Now Romano, though, when he enters the game, the lights drop. He has his own light show, his own theme song, which is hilarious to me. I love it. Does he not edge Bichette out? Because Bichette doesn't. I mean, they all have walkout music, but Bichette doesn't have a custom light show.
This is true. It's very true.
Oh my gosh! Before we let Charlie go,
yeah.
We were commenting on this on Monday. I didn't realize this. What is Justin Turner's walk-up song? I'm blanking on it now, but I remember how much I'm in love with it. That it's like this old 80s tune.
I'll look it up.
And I just think that it's another reason to love, because I don't know any of the walk-up music anymore. Like, it's all like newer artists that I'm not familiar with. Right now, Charlie's like, I know every single one of them. But
no Travis Scott from George Springer?
Oh my God. I was not familiar.
That's his.
The last one I really remember knowing was when how awesome Donaldson was when he come up with that opening to In the Air Tonight. That boom, 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 boom. That was cool. But what's
didn't Brandon Belt walk up to "Say It Ain't So" by Weezer last year?
Yeah, and Vogelbach used "Milkshake" by which I just thought was. And then someone was doing "Baby Shark."
Justin Turner has got "Higher Love" by Kygo and Whitney Houston.
Higher love.
Oh,
see, I know you don't know what that is, but I just thought it was the craziest thing that he walked up there to a song that I'm just like, maybe 20% of the stadium knows what this is. Yeah. But it made me so happy.
Yeah, George Springer's "Butterfly Effect" by Travis Scott.
Travis Scott sounds like a country singer.
He's not a country singer.
I know, but doesn't Travis Scott sound like a country singer?
Kevin Gossman has Pink Floyd, "Money."
How about what was his name? Go ahead.
Bowden Francis is Steve Miller Band, so that's classic.
That is classic.
Just trying to find some other ones. Chris Bassett is Blake Shelton. That's he's a country guy.
Remember what's his name? Our knuckleballer, not H.
R.A. Dickey.
R.A. Dickey. You know what he entered to? The Game of Thrones theme song.
I was going to say, was it the Star Wars theme? Yeah.
No, it was the Game of Thrones theme. It was awesome. But anyway, man, I just wanted to ask Charlie from that perspective, from the youth perspective, which one of the Jays is bringing the most? I gotta go with Vladdy still, though.
Vladdy does have some good drip.
Yeah, it's just those McCain commercials.
Yeah.
Those are not McCain commercials. I'm thinking of the old Roberto
Smuckers.
Alomar Catch the Taste.
The Uncrustables, the
The
Schmuckers.
Uncrustables.
Yeah,
it's just like they sat down and were like, what are the worst commercials we can make and see if they go viral.
Yeah, those are actually shot by a friend of Emily and I's, and they have a riot. They have a riot making those. Like
I bet
they shoot
like,
those in like an hour. They have no
they
time to
know
make
what
them.
they are. That's what I like about those commercials. Is those commercials do not pretend to be anything but what they are.
It's funny. It's funny actually. Just on the topic of commercials now, George Springer is my favorite athlete actor right now. He can do no wrong. And I know the Uncrustable ones are silly, but like the TD Canada Trust ones, I can watch those on loop. They make me laugh.
He sits in the chair in the outfield.
Oh, I just and just how polite he is when she asks for it back. He's like, okay.
I'm
like, that's the end of the commercial. He's just like the most Canadian thing ever. Like, oh, okay. Also, what would make it funnier though is if the extended cut of that commercial when she runs on the field, if right after he says okay, if she just got flattened by a security guard, I think that would be like just absolutely out of nowhere. Just
would you switch banks if that happened?
I would be a TD banker right there immediately. Oh,
Charlie, thanks for joining us. We'll let you go.
All right, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, man. Keep watching the Jays. We'll have to go to a game together.
Of course.
Okay, man. Thanks. Bye.
Peace, my friend.
So, Drew,
man.
We've got a series with the Padres kicking off tonight at 9:40 p.m. Now, I know you're on a lovely date tonight, but what do you know about the Padres? I haven't thought about the Padres in a while. We don't think about the National League as much. What are you thinking about this weekend?
You know what? I'm thinking about how they went all in and then bailed really, really fast. And I think that maybe that's because you recognize that a lot of places when they go all in, they're killing themselves for 10 years. And maybe San Diego is like, we're going for it. It's not working out. Abort, which takes a lot of guts, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, my friend, I'm really, really interested to see this series because I don't know much about the Padres. I know they have great players. I went and saw them play live last year. The ballpark is spectacular.
They don't have Juan Soto anymore. They don't have Blake Snell anymore. Like, I don't even know who they still have.
Machado and Tatis.
Okay, yeah, I guess they have Tatis. That's those guys aren't too bad. I've heard of them. they still have a core, but that you're bang on, and they I think they tried that same move with maybe 10 years ago, Adrian Gonzalez. I forget who else they added. Maybe this is like Johnny Damon. Did they add Johnny Damon?
I don't remember. If they added Damon, it was towards the end of his career where everyone plays for like 3 teams for the last 3 years of their career.
Well, I want to say they had Eric Hosmer, they had Adrian Gonzalez, and they tried to go all in, and it didn't work, and then they blew it all up. You know what happened? They had Juan Soto, they had Machado, Tatis. Didn't happen. Like, I'm surprised they didn't re-sign Blake Snell. Maybe he had a beef there, but I don't know how the Padres are doing because I really haven't paid attention. But and then we go to Kansas City.
One of my favorite ballparks in the majors. Now I don't have to play in it, so I don't have to deal with the fact that I'm sure it's older, etc. But man, just watching ball games in that ballpark, like I haven't gone to see it, but I mean, like just watching every time they shoot around that ballpark, I'm watching the B cut, the B rolls to be like, man, it looks gorgeous. Like it really, really does. Like anything with a water feature kicks ass.
We need a water feature in Toronto. Kaufman Stadium I've never been to, but I've also heard that there's like some political things happening in Kansas that might make both the Chiefs and the Royals leave town, which let's hope that doesn't happen.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
politics causing a problem in the United States.
Well, they had a pretty big city vote. Now this is just kind of I'm not reading an article right now, but they had a pretty large city vote, and from what I understand, the local residents in Kansas just said, "Hey, we're not funding your stadiums, so figure it out or take off." They should.
I've never been a big fan of that, actually. Like, you know what? You're a billionaire. Build your own stadium.
I'll tell you, I was quite pleased to read an article that Mark Shapiro was quoted in as saying, Rogers paid for the entire cost of the renovation. They didn't ask for or take any public money. That's actually pretty interesting. Now the downside is they raised the prices significantly on everything. You and I were both commenting on that, how things are getting expensive in baseball. Don't love that so much, but
Looney Dog night, man. Looney Dog night.
There is Looney Dog night. And what I did love, going back to the game that we went to, if you want premium food, you can find premium food, but they have, I think, made it accessible. They have made not only Looney Dog night, but there's a few value areas around the dome. San Diego for 3. Then we're in Kansas City, so it's a 7-day road trip. And then we welcome Los Angeles Dodgers here back at the Rogers Center. Shohei Ohtani. That's going to be an interesting series. I guess we'll talk about that more next week. But I want to ask you. We should go
see that, man. We should go see one of those games. That's a good baseball team. It's like back in the day, they made a comment on the broadcast this week that they used to put opposing players on the front of the Jays programs back in like 77 to 80. Come see Reggie Jackson because come see Doug Alt. You know what I mean? So that I think is going to be. I want to go out and see that. I think that's something about the Dodgers. They actually have players on their team that I want to go and see. Like I want to see LeBron play before he retires. Just to say that I saw that. I want to see Shohei. I want to see him live. And the thing is, it's weird. Like Shohei being added to that team makes us all forget that Mookie Betts is really good.
Yeah. And then really remember like Freddie Freeman.
Oh yeah, he's in there too.
And then and just like some other throwaway guys like I don't know, like Yamamoto, like just for fun.
Hey, I will say this though, man, not to leave the Dodgers for a second, but to leave the Dodgers for a second. I wasn't really a Yankee believer. Like, I kept saying I don't think they have the pitching, and I still don't think they do. But man, actually playing them over that weekend, that is a lineup. Like, I know Judge isn't hitting, but holy cow. Like, if Volpe really is what he might be, and I get the impression that he is, that's a really tough lineup to get through. And it's tougher than the Jays is to get through. Although we'll talk about that later because I want to talk about the Jays and their at-bats. But what do you think about when you saw the Yankees up close and personal?
Well, the Yankees have always had a scary offense. They seem to 1 through 9 be able to put the bat on the ball. Pretty hittable pitching though.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a brouhaha. I don't know if you were listening to the sports media at large, but the Yankees broadcasters have effectively accused the Jays of cheating. Because we just saw the Yankees in the Bronx a couple weeks ago, and then quite frankly did quite well against them here in Toronto. There's some direct accusations by the Yankees broadcast that there's some foul play happening. I don't know if you're reading about that, but
I have not been reading about that. So the Yankees are saying that because the Jays were not as hopeless at the plate as they were in the first week of the season, which by the way, everybody is hopeless at the plate the first 2-3 weeks of the season. It's a 700 OPS average in the league. So no, I wasn't aware of that. And I swear if a team is cheating and blows a 4-1 lead, okay, then we're real bad at it.
Well, the truth of the matter is, and I said this about Alejandro Kirk last season. He and his wife brought a child into the world right in the middle of spring training last year, if you remember. And Alejandro's a new father. The human side of baseball is a legitimate side, and these humans also had to play in the Bronx outdoors when it's like single digits out there, 4 degrees. And they're expected to perform at an elite level. And then all of a sudden you come to the indoor heated Rogers Center. Of course you're going to do better. It's foolish. It's foolish to think otherwise.
And it's not like the Yankees tore it up that first series either, right?
No.
At all. It's I mean, it's early in the season and we got to find stuff to talk about, right? Remember a couple of years ago, it was about baseballs, and this year it's about jerseys, and then it's a 700 OPS. And like I remember a few years ago, like there's always a different sort of remember when George Springer went down, I think his first or second season with the Jays, and Marcus Semien moved to the leadoff spot and was tearing it up, I think in May or June. And I listened to an hour of sports talk radio about what do we do when George Springer returns.
Right.
Who cares? Like, it just doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Like, modern baseball has become so analytical. Oh my God, I'm about to Buck Martinez it here. I can hear it coming. But things like,
first of all, you got to have a cigar, and you got to have a floral. You need to have a Hawaiian shirt on.
Yeah, and then just kind of get really grumpy. But the thing is, I actually found myself agreeing with him more and more. Things like pitch limits. Just let Rodriguez, once Rodriguez is stretched out, like I get it, he's not stretched out yet. Once he's stretched out, let him pitch for the rest of the season. Yeah. He's got to pitch. Remember they did it with what's his name, Sanchez a few years ago, right? This guy's 20 something years old. His arm will never be more resilient than it is right now.
Yeah.
Let them pitch. I hate pitch limits. If a guy is a professional, all right, if he's made it to the major leagues and he is okay, like he's stretched out. Once he's throwing 7 innings a game, let him throw 7 innings a game. And I don't care if he ends up pitching game 7 of the World Series. Let him throw until he's too tired to throw. He's 20 some years old. He's not going to get tired. You just heard Charlie ate 9 hot dogs. Like, not only would that put weight on me, it would kill me at this particular point in my life, right?
So, I gain weight just walking by the hot dog stand.
That's ridiculous. 9 hot dogs. Charlie, man, tip o' the cap.
Tip of the cap.
What do you think, man, about this pitch limit stuff?
Well, here's what I think. I think you're bang on. And these guys are throwing side sessions in between their starts. They're throwing 30, 40, 50 warm-up pitches. They're throwing in between innings when the innings go long down in the tunnel. I think the pitch count thing is over exaggerated, but at the same time, I'm not a sports medicine guy. I'm not a kinesiologist. They didn't give me that degree. I asked for it, but they didn't. They said I didn't have the marks. So they must know something that I don't. Right?
Do you think? I think I might have brought this up with you before, man. Do you think the working out in between starts and everything, which never really, like, it didn't really happen before, but the weightlifting, all of the stuff that they do, which obviously puts them in much better physical condition, but don't you think that wears down your body too? And that was an aspect of professional sports that wasn't as big a deal back in the days when Nolan Ryan was throwing, or you smoke cigars, or you smoke cigarettes on the bench, right?
Oh, sure. So, and John Kruk was your star hitter, right? And the guy, he's got a bowl of chili in the dugout, and I'm being facetious, but yeah, I can remember being a kid and being a baseball fan, and the criticism was always baseball players are fat, baseball players are sloppy and slow and gross. You can't say that about the 2024 Major League Baseball player. Even Vogelback, who's a larger guy, even Kirk, larger guy, they're still in shape. So your question is like, is the race towards extreme athleticism hurting these guys? Maybe. Again, not a scientist, don't know, but I have a feeling that they're not going to go backwards. Like, I don't think they're going to say, "Hey guys, let's just get some ribs. Let's take it easy. Put your feet up."
Yeah, maybe that's it too. Like, you hit the gym, you get yourself in better shape, your core is in better shape, your endurance is in better shape, and now you can throw a baseball 5 miles per hour harder than you could throw it in 1970 because you're trained. But maybe your shoulder and your elbow aren't able to keep up with what the rest of your body is able to allow you to do now.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, Shohei's about as amazing an athlete as you're going to get. So, but I mean, you've got Olympic gymnasts getting hurt, right? And those are the most physically fit and nimble people that you're ever going to find, and they're still tearing stuff, right?
Are you basically saying that maybe we all need to back it off a little bit and accept that performance might go back down a bit, but you're not going to lose a guy for a year. Maybe that is the thing.
Yeah, I think you'd have to be a pretty ambitious person to be the guy who takes over and says enough. Like the numbers are pretty much there. The third, like I used to be like a don't take a starter out after 6 innings, but the numbers don't lie, right?
Yeah.
But look at the individual pitcher. Like, yes, the third time through the order, batting averages go up, but they didn't against Pedro Martinez, or they did, but not nearly as much, right? So I'm like, why take out Roger? Okay, bad example. Why take out Pedro Martinez after 6 innings? Because the numbers go up 50 points, but now batters are hitting 210 against him, right?
Right.
Like I get it. I also think I was thinking about this too, my friend, is that analytics teach you how to build a winning team over 162 games. But I think the best teams are the ones who also say, I want to make sure that if the number 7 hitter in my lineup is up with the World Series on the line, that I'm not relying on aggregate data to say that he's a good number 7 hitter. Right. I want to know that Bo Bichette is at the plate. I want to know that, yes, we built the Dodgers to be whatever, but Freddie Freeman at the plate, that's what we want. So I also think that you have to remember that analytics are crucial to letting you know how a 162 game season will unfold. But that you also have to remember that if you go into a 7-game series having to rely on aggregate data, you're screwed. Right. So that's what we see about Moneyball teams is that when it's one pitch, when it's one batter, I think overall the individual high quality player is lower on the Moneyball teams, which means that when it gets down to this is just today's game, you can't rely on the fact that that guy's OBP is 40 points higher. You can rely on the fact that Judge is going to hit more homers than anybody else. Right. So I think we got to balance that out. And I think that maybe the Jays struggle with that a little bit, right? Like Ernie Clement isn't the guy I want at the plate, but I love Ernie Clement.
This really comes back to an early question that we asked Charlie, and it's a good question to really ask anyone: is why do you love this thing? Do you love this thing because of a percentage chance that your team will win the ultimate World Series, or do you love this thing because hey, on a Thursday afternoon, I could turn the radio on and let go for a bit, right? Yeah. Like, if it's the second one, then who cares about OBP and WAR and all these things?
You should ask Charlie what his favorite stat was.
There you go. Yeah, we'll have Charlie back.
He's the analytic guy. We'll ask him what his favorite stat is.
But Drew, I'm gonna say, because I think you have a date coming up. I want to watch our time here, but
going to see Macbeth.
What's your prediction for this weekend here in San Diego?
It's hard to say I don't know San Diego that particularly well. So what I keep doing is we got 3 in San Diego, 4 in Kansas City, right?
Correct. Yep.
I have a feeling that we're going to go 2 out of 3 in San Diego, and I think we're going to split Kansas City. So I think that's going to leave us with a 4-3 record over the road trip, and I will take a 4-3 record over a road trip.
Okay,
especially West Coast. I'm
an optimistic Jays fan. I think it's going to be a tough week because anytime the guys go west, now they did go a day early and they all played golf, or some of them did. So maybe they've adjusted a little bit, but I have found that the first west trip they do, they tend to stutter. Now they have already been to Houston once, so that's sort of west. But my thoughts on the matter is they're going to take 1 to 3 against the Padres, and I think they're going to take 1 out of 4 against the Royals. And the only reason I'm so tough on them, it's not because I don't believe in our guys. Kansas is smoking right now. They're running, they're hitting, and yeah, I think it's gonna be a tough week. So I hope I'm wrong. It's interesting,
man. I hope you are too. But I understand where you're coming from. I also just think that the Jays pitching staff is going to play in Kansas City. I really do think the Jays pitching staff is going to play in Kansas City. I think defense plays in Kansas City, although we're not as good as we were last year. But I think with Springer, Kiermaier, and Varsho in the outfield, if that's the route they go, that they're in good shape. I do think the pitching will play well there. But you're right. Thinking about West Coast, I went out to the West Coast to an Oakland game after they had like an 11-game home stretch, and they laid 3 straight eggs against a bad Oakland team. So I hear where you're coming from. I think they're feeling the pressure, man, but I hope you're wrong on this one, but I do understand where you're coming from.
Well, and maybe some good barbecue in Kansas will turn things in our favor, but man, it's hard not to root for Bobby Witt Jr. and what an exciting guy.
Let me ask you this before we wrap up, brother.
Sure.
What are the 3 things that had you happiest about the Jays over the last week?
Oh man, Dalton Varsho. Dalton Varsho just connecting on a couple of real great homers. That was fun to watch. It was fun to see Bassett again with the curveballs and just dancing. He had the Yankees just confused. And the third thing that had me excited, well, I got to think about it, but yeah, I mean, seeing Romano come in, seeing the walk up song, which I love, the lights go down. I got excited as a fan. Now Jordan did great. Eric Swanson had a bit of a rough outing, but man, we're in good shape. We've got a really good bullpen. You've got Chad Green back there. You've got Romano Jimenez with the year he's off to. Tough to be upset about these Toronto Blue Jays, Drew.
Yeah, man, and I got to add on just a couple that you didn't mention. Kikuchi looks like a beast.
Yeah.
Is he our Robbie Ray this year? I would be so happy if that happened, right? Because a left-hander with that weird delivery, Pete Walker working his magic. Varsho was great, but I feel good about Rodriguez. I think that's a nice little piece out there. I think as a 4 or 5 starter, that's a real good 4 or 5 starter. And I look forward to seeing how that goes. And I don't mind him and Bowden Francis mix up there, like putting them together and letting them do their thing. I'm not spoiled on Bowden Francis. I'm really not.
Of course, we forgot to mention Davis Schneider, just doing what Davis Schneider does. Getting into the corner in left field and just grinding it out. He didn't catch every ball that was out there, but he made the effort. And we both love guys like that.
And I just had to make this note before we wrap up. I wrote it down. George Springer's 11 pitch at bat in the Yankee game was absolute. I should have asked Charlie about that. That was baseball at its absolute most wonderful, man. I meant to text you, but I wasn't sure if you were watching the game, so I didn't want to give anything away. But What was it, 11, 12 pitches that he took and then eventually smacked one into center? I just loved it, everything about it. And then Bo did the same thing with an 8 or 9 pitch at bat, just a couple of batters later.
I'm gonna work on my Buck Martinez impression for the next episode, but George Springer, he's special. That guy.
Yeah. Got a good arm. He's got a good arm, or it's either he's got a good arm or he won't overpower you. Those are the two ones. When he comes in, I want to know if he's got a good arm or he's not going to overpower you.
Oh man, we gotta try and get Buck on the show. But until next time, have a nice day, Drew.
Yeah, have a great day, man. Have a great weekend, everybody listening. Take good care of yourselves, and let's enjoy some baseball. The cool thing about baseball is, hey, there's another game tomorrow. Isn't that awesome?
Go Jays, go.
Go Jays, go.
Thanks, Drew.
Thanks, man.